Hello Game of Thrones fans. At some point we will arrive at the end of Game of Thrones and probably many deaths will take place. That's when Brandon Stark, son of Eddard Stark, decides he'll travel back in time and try to stop the Night King, his army and the events from taking place. I will tell you about his journey back in the time after explaining how it's possible. When the three-eyed raven says, "You will never walk again but you will fly," he means through time and not only warging a dragon like many fans believe. There was a reason Jojen Reed, who also had a green side and knew even more things about it than Bran, did not become three-eyed raven himself. The reason is that Bran is even more powerful than both Jojen and the three-eyed raven in a way that he has both green side and the ability to walk. With this combination, Bran is even able to affect the past by walking into Welles and eventually making him become Hodor, which proves the ink is dry. He also gains his father's attention outside the Tower of Joy and even gets noticed by the Night King and gets touched in one of his green sides. Bran believes he is eventually going to be able to rewrite history, and that's why he decides to go back and stop the Night King several times, but fails every time, ending up fulfilling the timeline circle and taking the identity of the Night King himself. The first time, he tries to prepare the Mad King for the White Walkers and makes him prepare wildfire in a King's Landing where the White Walkers will attack in future. But Bran fails as the Mad King goes crazy from the whispers and instead tries to burn the city. The second time, Bran goes even further back in time to try to discover how the others were defeated the first time. He fails again and instead succeeds to become Bran the Builder, building the wall and securing his birth by building Winterfell and creating the words, "There must always be a Stark in Winterfell." The last time, Bran goes back all the way to where the Night King was created to walk into the human later that is going to become the Night King. He walks into him to stop the dragon glass event from happening, only he doesn't think of the children that of the forest won't recognize him from the future and that at that point they are in war with the first men. When he realizes he failed again, he tries to go back in the current timeline but cannot because he's too deep into the past and stayed too long as Brandon and Jojen want him not to. He becomes Night King eventually. With the combination of children's magic and Bran's power, he becomes the villain instead of the hero he tried to be, resulting in turning against the children for creating him and getting stuck behind the magical wall he later builds as Bran the Builder. Immortal as he is, he waits for himself to be born thousands of years later, knowing when and where he has to be marked, the young Bran. Personally kill Brandon Rivers for hiding the truth about what would happen with him and eventually being able to destroy the wall with a certain dragon. The reason the Night King doesn't end his mystery by killing his younger self is that he finally learned the ink is dry and he would fail again. You can actually see in the scene where young Bran goes back to the creation of the Night King that when the children push the dragon glass into his heart, we see Bran tighten his grip on the veins just as it is himself experiencing the pain. Also in the end of the flashback, Bran is laying in the exact same position in the cave as the human pushed to the tree is. The reason he doesn't kill Jon Snow and instead observe him at Hardhome because this theory also parts with Jon Snow being the prince that was promised and eventually he has to kill his little brother Bran, giving us a bittersweet ending.